We start by testing the steering columns which are used in the series 205, 253, 117, 176, 242, 246, and 156. We'll show you the work on an electrically adjustable steering column. No SRS error message may be present before starting the work. Before disconnecting the battery, move the steering wheel all the way down and all the way towards the driver. We continue in the engine compartment. There, remove the covering over the battery and disconnect the ground wire. In the next step, remove the airbag. Then disconnect the electrical connector. Before removing the steering wheel, make sure that it is straight and that the wheels are also in the straight position. They must not be turned until the end of the repair process. Get a colleague to hold the steering wheel while you loosen the screw. Check the markings of the notch and remove the steering wheel. Now check which steering column switch module is installed. Here is an overview of all three options. If the module does not have 3 white support bands, it's made by the firm Coastal. In this case, no further work is required. If white support bands are visible, it's a module from the company Vallejo, in this case without modification. The modified Vallejo module can be identified by the 6 additional square openings. In this case, the protective ring is installed ex-factory. For both Vallejo steering column switch modules, the work continues. In our case, it's an unmodified module, so we'll retrofit the protective ring. Remove the cover. Mount the protective ring. It must be securely seated on the module. Then reinstall the cover. Remove the steering column switch module with the connected cables from the steering column. Here are the necessary parts for the type of steering column. If it's a mechanical steering column, you only require the contact bridge. If it's an electrical, you'll also need this current bridge. Place the contact bridge on the steering column so that the 3 contact flags point in the direction of travel. Press the bridge on firmly so that it completely disappears into the bearing outer ring. If, as in our case, an electric steering column is installed, also mount the current bridge. For better visibility, we'll show you how to do this on a removed steering column. The spring coils must be positioned in the direction of travel. The end of the current bridge must be in contact with the inner surface of the opening. This is what it looks like when it's installed. The measures have now been completed. A few more notes for the installation. When mounting the steering wheel, make sure that the notch on the steering wheel is aligned with the markings on the steering spindle in the same way as when you removed it. Use the steering wheel screw again and mark it with a dot after installation. When everything is back in place, switch the ignition to position 1, and the indicator light for the airbag system must switch off after a short time. Next, we'll check the steering columns for the series 207, 212, and 204. Up until the steering column switch module is tested, the work is carried out in the same way as for the series previously shown. Only the contact bridge is different. Unclip the trim strip with the center ventilation nozzles and remove the lower frame of the instrument cluster. Then unclip the cladding for the steering column switch module and remove it with the cables connected. For this type of steering column, you need a contact bridge. For the electrically adjustable steering column, you also need a clamp, a ground line, and a screw. When installing the contact bridge, make sure that the groove points in the direction of travel. Install the ground wire for the electric steering column. To do this, slide the contact clamp onto the upper left-hand side of the steering column. Unscrew this screw and connect the ground line to the steering column and the contact clamp with the new screw. Tighten the new screw with 4 Nm of torque. The eyelet of the ground line must be at a 90-degree angle to the steering column. When replacing the airbag, the following applies. Pay attention to the notch on the steering wheel, mark the screw, and check that the airbag light is permanently switched off with the ignition in position 1. This concludes your work.